This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners share their wisdom. It's short and to the point to respectable time. And because we know transforming possibility happens super fast and it leads to lasting results. That's the cool part. So enough of that. Look, let's get to it. Daryl, in a few sentences, tell me who you are, like I just did, and what you do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brad, for having me on. So I am the Chief Operating Officer of a marketing agency called Disruptive Advertising, headquartered just south of Salt Lake City, Utah here. And we are a performance marketing agency that helps other companies who lack the expertise or the bandwidth to run marketing themselves in-house. And we fill in some of those gaps for them as needed.
I love that. And what stands out to me about that very clear message is performance marketing. So it's not just any random marketing, it's performance-based marketing, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. To delineate from, some of the other avenues of marketing, we're not a branding agency. We aren't going to build you a website. We're also not gonna set up a billboard buy or a radio buy for you. We're a performance marketing agency running digital ads for our clients primarily, and a few supporting services to support those ad campaigns to drive those direct response results that so many companies are after these days.
Love that. Love the specificity of that. Because now, when somebody hears this or listens to it and they're like, oh yeah, I've been needing that. They know exactly who to turn to. So as a marketer, you know how powerful specificity is. And I love that you walk the talk, right? So
Sure.
Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Question number 2, what's the best thing about being in business? I love hearing these answers.
Yeah, this is a fun one. And the best thing is that, we just had all of our employees out at our headquarters for our annual employee summit. We've got employees all over the US at this point. And we had our annual employee summit. And one of the things that we talked about there is how business prepares us for real life, which might sound kind of funny. We truly believe at Disruptive Advertising, like what we do at Disruptive Advertising is a piece of our life. And for most of us, probably not even the most important piece of our lives, but it's an awesome playground for us to get better at life. So we can take that into other relationships and the other areas of our lives. And so the best part about being in business is every day I get to solve problems with other individuals. I get to operate in, high stakes, high stress type situations. I get to practice my communication skills and on and on and on. So then I can go home and be a little bit better at those things when I'm working with my wife or my children. And so the best thing about being in business is like, it's kind of like a playground to get better at life. And then you can take that outside of work to your relationships that matter even more and be a little bit better at those things.
Love that. I love how you delivered that, Daryl. It's so true. And especially from the leadership aspect of things, like I love how you said it's a playground, right? We all need some play in our lives, right? And so it's a playground to be better in life. Wow. That's really powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question number 3. So this is one of my favorites. I know you're going to love this. We hear from other business owners, they're getting so much business. And I have to say this, yes, now that sometimes the chaos causes some overwhelm. Would you be willing to share your thoughts about that, Daryl?
Yeah. What comes to mind for me immediately, and this has been an entire process at Disruptive Advertising. We've been in business for about 8 years. I've been with the company for about 7 years now. And we've gone through some evolutions, of course, like most businesses do. And we've gone from, chasing any revenue and saying yes to almost anything, to where we are so particular about the revenue that we're after at this point, because it's become radically apparent to us that there's good revenue and there's bad revenue. And so in this, chaos, as you said, what would I admonish a business owner to do? Get real about what revenue represents good revenue for your business and what revenue represents bad revenue, and be picky. Go after that good revenue and only that good revenue. And it's interesting because this doesn't hold up necessarily if you're a public company, you've got shareholders that are most interested in that top line revenue growth. That does change the game a little bit. We are privately held. We're about 170 employees, privately held. No investors, no board to answer to. So we get to choose, right? Not every business owner is in that position that has that luxury, but man, I would just say get real about good revenue versus bad revenue. And even if it doesn't present as much top line revenue growth, the return on energy that you're going to experience when focusing on that good revenue and really long-term retention, repeat rates, those sorts of things will deliver more revenue in the long run. So focus on the good revenue, let the bad revenue go, and it's going to feel a lot less chaotic.
So powerful. Again, I love how you delivered that. That's something similar once, but it's the way you deliver is totally different. And I love that you dive into this. It's like, we could talk about the marketing aspect of it, is like your ideal clients. A lot of people talk about those and that kind of thing, but good revenue, good profits, bad revenue, bad profits, right? Like, how are we pausing to look at those? Are we tracking that? Is retention rates, all of that? It all ties to long-term sustainable growth. Well delivered. I obviously love what you delivered. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely will help the overwhelm, right? So be particular.
Absolutely.
All right, take us over.
If you're feeling overwhelmed in business, just look for some bad revenue that you can get rid of, and it's going to feel a lot less chaotic.
Amen. Love it. Question number 4, Daryl. This is fun. What other successful business owners, like yourself, of course, or COOs, should be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So I've got a buddy down in Dallas. His name's 𝐋𝐞𝐚𝐝, and super successful gentleman. What he's currently working on is a social media marketing app called Multibrain that helps individuals, small business owners, influencers, the sort, really expand their presence and level up their game on their social media. So absolutely think you should be chatting with Scott over at Multibrain. Got a buddy here in Utah, actually, named Van Oaks. And he runs a company called Tuffering, which sells the coolest, the most durable, the toughest silicone rings that you can get out there. And they've done some awesome things from a marketing standpoint that I think are really exciting. So Van Oaks is another great one at Tufferings.
Love those. 2 very different businesses.
Yep.
Great examples of each and what they do. So thank you. I appreciate that. I look forward to connecting with them. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some wisdom, Daryl, right? So what piece of wisdom you've been with? You have lots of experience, but 7 years alone with the company that you're with now. What piece of wisdom would you give with other business owners?
Yeah. Excited to answer this one. This kind of goes along with the good revenue, bad revenue comment just a minute ago. But what I would, the wisdom that I would impart is companies need to be focused on lifetime value. That hasn't always been the case as much as it is today, but companies need to focus on lifetime value. And what I mean by that is, whether you're a marketing agency like Disruptive Advertising, or you're an e-commerce company, or you're a SaaS product, the companies that are winning the most right now are the ones that have the highest lifetime values. Almost without fail, you're going to see the companies that are winning the most are the ones that are delivering the highest lifetime values. Lifetime value, for those that aren't familiar with that term, is simply how much a customer is going to be worth to your business over a lifetime, right? So not just an initial purchase value, not just a first month's contract value, but over a lifetime, what's that customer going to be worth? And it's so simple, but the companies with the highest lifetime value are the ones that can invest the most in marketing. So they walk away with the most clients at the end of the day. The companies with the highest lifetime value are the ones that can invest the most in further developing their product, again, resulting in more clients and even better retention, higher lifetime values. And so the companies that miss this piece, I love to share this example. When I was 16 years old, I was an assistant manager at a Domino's Pizza in my local hometown. Grew up in Wisconsin, so a small little farm town in Wisconsin. And the owner of that store would say, hey, no questions. If someone's not happy with their pizza, we're sending them a new one, because every customer is worth $500 a year to this business. As a 16-year-old, I could not wrap my mind around how somebody was spending $500 a year on pizza takeout. And it's not that hard. Once you have a family and you realize how much it costs to feed a family, it's not that hard to see that now. But at the time, I had a hard time. And as a young manager, when somebody complained that we made their pizza wrong, that I took it personally, and I didn't want to send them a free pizza because I knew I made that pizza right, and so on. But that was a good lesson in lifetime value, which is we're going to make it right to the customer no matter what, because their lifetime value is so high. It's not just a $16 pizza. It's $500 over the course of the year that's at stake here. We're going to take care of it, and we're going to make it right no matter what. And that was my first lesson in lifetime value without realizing it. So now years down the road, right, we take a very similar approach at Disruptive Advertising. We are very focused on not only delivering the product that it takes for a customer to be around long-term, but also being real about which customers are going to benefit the most from what we're able to deliver. And those are the ones that we go after. So at the end of the day, when we retain clients year after year after year, it puts us in a position to invest heavily to go out there and find more of those right clients. And it's kind of a perpetual cycle, but business owners, marketers, we need to be focused on what drives the highest lifetime value. And that is true across business models. It's true for an e-commerce business. Don't think of a customer as one and done. It's hard to drive a customer acquisition cost that allows you to sell one product to a customer at a profitable rate. How do you keep them coming back for more? How do you continue to deliver products that are going to make their life better?
I love this. And what I really love about is that you made something that can be complicated for someone who's not familiar or hasn't tracked lifetime value for a long time. Really simple. I love your analogy of the pizza, like $500. How does that work? But it's a simple and a brilliant analogy. I know some of my exposure. I worked for the largest retailer in the world, like Amazon, right? And they are obsessed with this is their terminology, right? Like they're obsessed with their customers. And it is the notion. I mean, when they break it down, they know exactly, and I'm not going to share that, but just exactly in the way you did, they know exactly what their average customer lifetime value is. So when there's an issue, they want to solve it because the obsession they have with their customers and keeping those has driven, we know how large they are, right? Has driven growth. So I love that you used a simple example that's just everybody can relate to. Daryl, if somebody's looking at, I mean, what suggestion would you, here's what I find. I'm coming up with a question, I promise. What I see, and I'm sure you've been exposed to this on many levels, what I think blocks a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners is they think, okay, I got to track lifetime value. That can be a complicated thing at first if they haven't done it before. What kind of suggestions or what advice would you give them if they haven't done it yet and they want to just start? How could they get started doing that? Do you have a suggestion or recommendation?
Two things come to mind for me right away. First one is, I care less that you're tracking it than that you're focused and obsessed with it, right? Maybe you don't know what that number is, and that's okay, but do the things that are going to drive that number up. Be obsessed with the customer, be obsessed with creating an experience for the customer that's going to keep them around long-term. Just be doing the things that are going to improve your lifetime value, whether you know what that number is or not. Second thing is, back the napkin math, I actually find goes a long way. And as a business owner, you probably have enough data points, whether hard data or anecdotal, to pencil out what that might look like for you. It can be hard. There's plenty of business models. Disruptive's one of them. When our lifetime with a customer is multiple years, I mean, we could just wait around year after year after year to actually have a hard measurement on that, or we can start to extrapolate a little bit. Go ahead and run that back the napkin math. You probably aren't going to be too far off, and that the actual number isn't what matters the most, but it's that you're focused on the things that are going to drive that number up.
I love it. It's not about perfection. Just get started today. So powerful, Daryl. I appreciate that. In a minute here, we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about some less business and more fun. But I have another question. So one of the things, again, 7 years in marketing, just with this company, the biggest things that business owners struggle with is team building. You have an amazing team, a fairly large one. What kind of advice or suggestions would you give, just off the cuff, based on your experience, on how, if entrepreneur hasn't built a huge team like yours yet, what kind of steps can they take in terms of teamwork, or how to build their team? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to building a strong team is it's kind of like good revenue and bad revenue. Like be really careful and really picky with who you add to that team in the first place, right? Be really clear about what is most important. What are the values of your company? What do you stand for? And make sure that people check all those boxes before you bring them onto the team. Disruptive, we are very focused on our core values. We have 4 of them. We talk about them. They're used in every conversation at Disruptive. They're brought up in every interview. And we're just as much interviewing those individuals to see if their core values fit as we are to understand if expertise-wise, competence-wise, they fit the job description. And so I would say it starts with who you add to the team. Make sure you're adding people that are a good values fit, whether you've got penciled down core values or not. Think about what do you and what does your company stand for, and only let people onto the team that stand for those same things. And then from there, continue to talk about those things, make them part of your DNA, make them part of your culture. One of our 4 core values is we care about the individual. As we grow and we become this large inanimate company with 170 employees, what's important to us is that every team member understands that we care about them, and we're all focused on caring for one another. It's about more than just this larger thing. So one of our core values, we care about the individual. You are not joining the company unless we truly feel like you're somebody that can stand for that, right? And so that's one example. Be very picky about who you add to the team and make sure that they know what you and your company stand for, and they stand for those same things.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I know you weren't prepped for that question, but standards, man, standards matter, don't they, Daryl? I love it. I love how you tied into that. What's really powerful for that, about what you shared for me, is the fact that you said you don't just have the values, you actually use those in conversations. That's how you build a really strong culture. So thank you for sharing that. I hope anybody listening or watching, actually that resonated with you and actually heard that. Use those values. It's one thing to have them. It's another thing to use them. It makes your culture a lot more sustainable. Daryl, I appreciate that. All right, one more question we're going to play, and then we're going to shift gears. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So people can look you up on social media and they can get on the website and all that kind of stuff. What's one thing, Daryl, that they won't find if on the social media and on the website when they do their due diligence? Come on.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me because I'm terrible on social media. What you won't find is I'm a passionate father. I love being a father. I've got 3 little ones at home, ranging from 5 months old up to 6 years old. And one of my absolute favorite things is, it started out as once a week that we would do this. It's actually become far more frequent. My 2 oldest, 6-year-old and 4-year-old, are both girls, but they love wrestle night. So we have WrestleMania in our house. Like I said, once a week is kind of how I'd started it. They ask for it almost every night, but we turn on some rock music, man, and we just wrestle. And I love it. I win every time, of course. And I keep telling them, now they've got this little brother, and I say, you guys better hope he gets to be big, because that's your only hope to ever beat dad at wrestling. But we wrestle, man, and we love it.
I love that. Thanks for sharing it. I mean, I love talking business. We could talk business all day, but it's little things like this that really make the difference. So,
Yeah,
Daryl, thanks for sharing. I really appreciate your authenticity, my man.
absolutely.
Look, you just displayed it really. I know you walk the talk, right? And so we're gonna shift gears. What's the most fun vacation you've ever had? Because as you know, you just displayed we work to live, not live to work, right? And so you've already talked about culture and all these important things. So what I'm interested to know, what's the most fun vacation you ever had?
So this happened last year, 2021. I've had this vision and this dream for a while of hopping in an RV and traveling across the US. My wife has never been on board, but we've ended up canceling enough trips due to our current environment with COVID and whatnot, that she finally said, buy the dang RV and let's do this. So last year, we spent 3 months traveling the US in our RV. My wife was 5 months pregnant at the time, had my 5-year-old and 3-year-old at the time. And yeah, we packed up, we hopped in the RV, and we spent 3 months on the road traveling all across the US. And man, it was life-changing. I was still working on the road. I was still putting in 4 days a week and then taking 3-day weekends. And we hit a new city every week for 3 months. So we weren't staying places super long. We were seeing as much as we could in that short time frame and then on to the next one. So we covered a lot of ground. My girls loved it. My wife ended up loving it. So we're actually going to be doing the same thing again this next summer. So that was hands down best vacation ever.
I love it. I love the story, the family time, the freedom of it all, exploring. Oh, you speak my language, Daryl. Thanks for sharing. I'm so excited for you, and I'm excited that you'll be able to do it again. Having that kind of freedom and still being able to, do business and impact people and create more influence and, betterment in the world is so powerful. So thank you for what you do and the way you do it.
Absolutely. I highly recommend it to anyone who's thinking about it. You should do it.
Love it. I'm location independent, so you speak my story. I love it. As an empty nester, that was my thing, right? So I love it. I love it. Daryl, I appreciate it. I know that this is an investment of your time as a COO, you're running a company, all that kind of stuff. And so I appreciate you taking a chunk out of your day and actually sharing with the audience. What's the website? When somebody listens to this, they watch it, they hear it, and they say, wow, I really need some of that marketing. I need to connect with that guy, right? What's the website or what's the best way for them to reach out to you, Daryl?
You bet. If you're looking for help with Google ads, Facebook ads, your email marketing, hop on over to disruptiveadvertising.com. Again, disruptiveadvertising.com.
Go disrupt some stuff. Get on the website. Check it out. You have a great website. So I highly recommend anybody watching or listening, go check out the website and reach out and connect with them. So, Daryl, I appreciate you. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners this is fun. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look, you hear a lot about figures on the internet, right? But it's more about sharing their wisdom and creating impact globally for the betterment of humanity. Thanks for listening and watching. Cheers to you.